You're in the VIP section of Black Women in Radio, the podcast, a decade of the new woman. I'm your host, Felicia Love, along with our special guest. I have Olivia Gunn. Woohoo! When did you first discover Black Women in Radio? I'm just curious.
It's actually been recent. It's been very recent. I would say at this point, maybe a good month or two ago, I noticed I got a like on one of my pictures. And of course, that prompted me to go to the page on Instagram. And that's where I was like, okay, because I've heard of similar movements, but not Black women in radio. So I was like, let me take a look at this. And I'm like, wow. And it was just a ton of Black women in radio. Some people I had actually even I was familiar with, and then I'm scrolling, I'm like, wait a minute, that's the station I work for, that's the owner. I'm like, wow. So I'm like, this is what's up.
Yes. I am so glad that it's working out that way. People are now discovering what we are, not only what we are, but what we're about. And right. We're really about promoting women in our industry and also the different facets of us. So yes, we are, all about radio, but we're all about so many different things. And one reason why this podcast is so phenomenal is that I tell you, I have not had one person who has not just floored me with other things that they do or stand for or are about. And there's no way you would know that on a regular day at the radio station, because you've got no reason to mention it.
Exactly. That's one thing I noticed about you all's platform is I saw one woman in radio, because radio for a lot of us is just one area of our lives. Like you said, we do so many other things, and radio opens up the door for us to do so many other things. And I just noticed that too on your platform, where some women, you were highlighting their side businesses. I saw one woman had a t-shirt line that she just decided to go for, and it blew up. I'm like, wow. So ever since about 2 months ago, I have been definitely following Black women in radio.
Well, I am so excited. I do believe that the woman that you're talking about is out of Dallas, Jade, Lady Jade. Their astrological signs.
Yeah.
Yes. That's Lady Jade. And that's pretty cool. I mean, I was flipping through and discovered her, and I thought, that's a great idea. So if nothing else, we are absolutely inspirations to each other.
Yeah, it's definitely inspiration, because when I saw that post, I'm like, wow, that is amazing. I'm like, I need to step it up. And it's something else I could be doing. Or it's just that post alone just motivated me, and that stuck with me.
Yes. Well, I'm so excited. Well, it's a pleasure to have you, Olivia. I know a little bit about you, but I'm so excited to get an opportunity to get to know you even better. You are in the East Coast, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Columbus, Georgia.
Georgia. Okay. So I wasn't sure if it was the Carolinas or Georgia. So you are in Columbus with Davis Broadcasting, correct?
Yes, Davis Broadcasting.
That is another really phenomenal thing that I love about Davis Broadcasting, and that is that they have 7 radio stations.
Yep.
And that they're not all urban sounding stations, and it's Black owned and operated. And you know what? Hats off to them. I can't tell their story enough. I can't wait to get an opportunity to, talk to them more in depth, because you hear a lot about radio stations, being Black owned and operated. And usually the first line of thought is, oh, okay, it's urban, or it is oldies, or so tell me what your business is there. What do you do there?
Well, I am a weekend personality on both Saturdays and Sundays. The name of my show is Live with OG.
I love it.
Yeah, I got that name because those are my initials, Olivia Gunn, OG. So when I was trying to come up with it, I was like, I'm going to do Live with Liv. And then in that Davis Broadcasting, everybody's like a family. They're so welcoming, they're caring. I love it there. But I was talking to some of my coworkers and program managers and stuff, and they were like, "No, do live with OG." I was like, should I do live with Liv or live with OG? I don't want to sound too, you know, too rough. But like, yeah, do it live with OG. I like that because that's what they call me. So they're like, when they hear that title, they're gonna think it's a dude. But then it's like, oh wait, it's a chick. So don't let me tune in. So yes, live with OG is Saturdays evenings 4 to 7, Sundays 12 to 3. I actually started out with David's Broadcasting on a gospel station. Started out with gospel station, and I transitioned from gospel to R&B. It's actually been a year this month. It's been a year this month.
Okay. Yes. That's awesome. Now, how did you break into the industry initially?
Initially, I started out, this was many years ago, back when I was in like my last year of college. So this has been about 6 years ago at this point. The college that I went to, Columbus State University, they were in the process of launching a radio station. So I would get some type of practice there, with doing like mock shows. And then another station had launched in Columbus. It was a hip hop station. It was new and they didn't have any personalities or anything. So we used to cut liners for them and things like that. And from there, I transitioned to an online radio station in Columbus. So I worked online for about, I would say, 3 years, about a good 3 years. I was on air sometimes, but I mainly helped with production.
Okay.
And then from there is how I transitioned to mainstream radio with David's Broadcasting.
Very good. And how were you discovered?
Well, the program director there, Michael Soul at David's Broadcasting, that's my guy right there. I actually knew him just by association because Columbus is not the smallest city, but like everybody knows everybody. So just from networking and having mutual friends, it's so crazy. He hit me up, he called me out of the blue, and we were talking about a David's Broadcasting event. We have a big luncheon every year. I had went to it, but he called me out of the blue. He was like, "How was the luncheon? Did you enjoy it?" Da, 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 da. I'm like, "Yeah, I really liked it." He was like, "Well, that brings me to, we have an opening on our gospel station."
Oh, how cool.
And at first, I did not give it a second thought. I was like, no way, because in the past, I have never been confident with the way I sound. So I never pursued mainstream radio that much. So I was like, no way, Mike, I don't like to talk. No, I can't be doing all the talking. He was like, well, mainstream radio is not about all this talking. It's about the music. It's about this, it's about that. It's not like internet radio. It's not like podcasts where you have the freedom to talk as long as you want. So I was like, no.
Literally as long as you want.
Right. With a podcast, with internet radio, you can tailor it how you want to tailor it. But we kept talking and then something clicked. It was like, wait a minute. You are on the phone with the program director.
Hello.
At a radio station, and he's telling you that he thinks you would be a good fit for radio, and you're telling him no? Come on, you would be a fool to turn this man down. So I was like, wait a minute. I need to take him up on that. I've never been comfortable with it, but that's when you grow, when you're outside of your comfort zone. And I was like, my philosophy is you should always be able to build your portfolio, your resume. If you can't add to it, then I believe you're stagnant. If you're not developing your skill set, what are you doing? So I took him up on it. I still had to apply, of course, do the whole interview process and all of that, but I was selected and I started out on a gospel station. And this has been actually only 2 years. I'm a newbie still.
You know what, that's a wonderful story. And I am so glad that you stopped yourself, because we often get in our own way when a blessing rolls around, because it doesn't look exactly the way we're thinking it's going to look.
Right. And you have to identify those blessings.
You do. Because you'll talk yourself out of it and then wonder, okay, why am I not progressing? Why am, most of my radio jobs have all been either by word of mouth or someone calling me to join the new family. I mean, I've applied for a couple and I got it. But the ones that are really significant are the ones that, someone pulled me in on.
Yeah.
So, to your testament, if we get in our own way, you don't have longevity in the business at all. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm so glad that you're not the only one. Trust, you are not the only one who has done that. No, no, no. We have a whole log of professional broadcasting women who have done the same thing. It's like, I'm not good enough to be a broadcaster, or
Right.
I'm
That's
not good enough to be a program director, or I'm not good enough. It's
yeah.
the story we tell ourselves.
Yes, I was like, and then we just kept talking, and it dawned on me that's the reason he called me. He didn't want to talk about that event. He just eased that in there, but we just kept talking about other things, and then he was like, he brought it back around. He was like, see, that's why I think you would be good for this spot. And then I was like, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to remain stagnant, and having a head at the organization on the phone with you. Come on.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. So did you rewind when you were on the phone, or did you have to call back a couple of days or a couple hours later?
It clicked while we were on the phone. I was
Good for
actually
you.
at a job. I was working. I told him no. We started to talk more about this event. It's a big event. It's the Women's Empowerment Luncheon. It's a big event in Columbus each year. So we continued to talk about that, and somehow it shifted back to this radio thing. And I was like, you know what? I was like, Mike, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give it a try. It's just clicked. Like, this is an opportunity for so much more. And it has been an opportunity for so much more. Look at us. We're connecting. It's so much more, So, yes, I'm glad something sounded off and I just went for it. It was new. It was definitely out of my comfort zone, but I loved it. I'm glad. I have not looked back since. So,
Well, let me just say, as far as voices are concerned, it's very interesting that we have an idea of what a good sounding voice is, but oftentimes people just are looking for a conversational rhythm, tone, style, and it's not any particular sound unless it's annoying. You either have a really annoying voice, or you've got a voice that sounds like, the girl next door, or so yeah, I mean, I imagine, I've never been a program director. I've been a music director before, but I imagine that it's a lot like choosing roles for a movie. That's just my thought.
yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can't really have everybody sounding exactly the same. So,
Right.
and I'm listening to you don't have an annoying voice, so it was all in your head.
Yeah, I guess it's all about being comfortable. And I guess
It
that's
is.
my thing. I just wasn't comfortable. I'm like, do I sound, because I can sound very proper at times, but through coaching, I can say he coached me a lot. Well, not a lot, even not a lot. He would routinely say, send me some air checks. Let me see your air checks.
Yeah.
And he is a person who he critiques, but he's not going to critique you without telling you what you need to do to sound better or what you need to do next time. And I just took everything he told me, applied it, and I'm comfortable live
You
with
know
those
what?
things.
That's great leadership. I
Yeah.
love that. That's great leadership. I love it. You don't find it all the time. So you are a lucky woman.
Yes, yes. To be at Davis, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else than at Davis Broadcasting. As far as Columbus is concerned,
Yeah.
I'm definitely in the right place.
Wonderful. Now, if you were not doing radio, what would you be doing?
Well, I actually work in TV as well. I work as a digital content producer.
Okay.
So I still like that. At the time, when I started, I like that confidence being on the air. So I do. I'm a digital producer. I'm not a reporter, but if I wasn't doing radio, I would be pursuing broadcast still, communication, which is what I'm still doing. And also, I've launched my own business in PR, Olivia Gunn PR and communication. So I'm actually, being that I'm, aside from radio, I'm still in the field that I want to be in. So I would just want to be bigger, with my public relations business. And TV is well, but it's like, I'm starting to kind of like radio a little bit. I mean, that's mine. I have my own show, I have my own platform with radio, but I would just want to be bigger in the communications field because everything I do is somehow related to communications.
Yeah.
TV, radio, and then public relations. So I just wanted to always be well-rounded in that field.
Since we're on the subject, tell me what you would think media needs to recognize or embrace when it comes to Black women in the field.
I think media needs to embrace our ideas because when I think about media, radio, TV, oftentimes it's male dominated. Even in the radio industry, the radio station that I work in, the general manager is a woman, and we have some female radio personalities, but it's still male dominated. Even in TV, um, the news director at the station I work for is a male. Nothing wrong with that, but I think if we embrace the ideas that females bring to the table, because a lot of times I think we're not welcome to share ideas. Organizations say that we are, but it's male dominated, so I think women have a lot to bring to the table as far as ideas.
Yes, ideas, creativity, resilience.
From a woman's perspective.
Yes,
Because a lot of times I think we have to cater to, of course you have to cater to the public. You have to cater to what's popular in society, pop culture, meaning what is popular in society. But I think women just can bring that diversity that's needed. I follow a platform called, I think it's called Cafe Mocha.
Yes, I'm familiar.
Radio from a woman's perspective.
Yes.
So that has me thinking, just put a woman's perspective in some of the things that's broadcasted and some of the other things that's highlighted in media.
And not just a handful of women, but women in general. Because what I'm finding even more now than ever before, and that's just because I'm linked to this organization and I'm watching it unfold like a flower before my very eyes. Women are so diverse.
Yes.
In they're thinkers, they're trendsetters, and oftentimes those ideas are cut off at the knees and you don't get an opportunity to see it flourish and see just how big it could be if it had the money behind it or the machine behind it or, the
proper
platform company behind it. Exactly. We're getting ready to highlight some professional women in radio who are also published authors. And,
I saw your post about that.
Yeah, it brings me so much excitement because just like we're talking about, there are not enough platforms that will embrace our ideas. So I'm looking forward to, trailblazing all kinds of pathways and platforms for us to create and be discovered. And for a lot of women that I've noticed in radio, we're pretty comfortable with what we do on a day-to-day in radio. We are growing in other areas. And sometimes, just like you mentioned earlier, I'm not sure if that's for me, but we don't know until we try. And so platforms like Black Women in Radio is that nurturing platform to say, oh, you wrote a book? Tell us about it. Oh, you're a digital producer? Show us what you got, and I think it gets people more confident so that we can become even greater than we ever imagined. That's my hope anyway.
Yeah, because I definitely think that there needs to be a platform to highlight women, because again, especially in the media, because I feel that in many instances it is male dominated. Mm-hmm. So definitely.
So what do you think you have to bring to the table when it comes to communications? If I gave you $250,000 and I said, okay, Olivia, build your company, what would you do? What would you do with it?
What would I do? Well, like I stated earlier, my goal was to be well-rounded in communications communications. Because initially, back when my college days, it was all about just TV. I just wanted to be in TV, something dealing with TV. But then as I grew more and I was introduced to more, like when it comes to public relations, working in media, like public relations is two sided. You have the public, and then you have the what's the word I'm looking for? The professional side of it. Now the person that's working with the public, and then you have, of course, the public. So working in media, I'm a public. So I've seen both sides to public relations, working for clients and also being a public. So what I would do is I would launch a full service communications agency, because it all kind of works hand in hand, the media and the public relations side. So a full service agency, whether it's you need broadcast, publicity, and public relations, because that sums up what all I do. Because I work in TV, radio. So that's the broadcast, the media side. And independently, Olivia Gunn, PR and communications, helping you reach your publics, helping you build relationships with your stakeholders. So I would launch a full service public relations agency.
I love that. I love that. And we need more women of mocha skin to, to represent. And the reason why I say that is because I know in in my career, I don't remember a whole lot of representation of Black women.
Right.
That would be 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Don't remember that. And I also remember that there were a handful of women who were represented by PR companies or agencies, but that was like the top 5%, and the rest of us just didn't know anything about it because we didn't know to ask, or we just didn't know. So I love there, being more accessibility to becoming, even better than we could ever dream of. But we need people like you to create that for us.
Right. Because I've noticed even in the city that I live in, there are some public relations firms, not many of them, or there are none that I can recall. I'm not going to say there aren't any, but none that come to my mind that are Black-owned public relations firms. And I just think a Black-owned firm can offer what a firm that's owned and operated by someone lighter than me can offer more, because clients are diverse. Because I've had clients to range from hip hop artists, local hip hop artists, to owners of fitness centers. So I just think a Black-owned public relations firm, full servicing, wide range firm will be able to offer diverse services that you may not be able to get from one that's owned by a white owned.
Right, right. And you're in a really cool position too, because people will come to you and they'll have an idea, but they don't even know what they want.
Right.
How do you match the needs of your clientele? How do you do that?
Well, I start with, and luckily I've had some really good clients that have been really easy to work with, but I start with their goals. I don't know, what is your goal? I don't overpromise, but I start with what are you looking to accomplish? Are you looking for something long term? Because sometimes I think people confuse marketing with public relations. They kind of work hand in hand, but they're not necessarily the same. So I start with determining what their goal is. For instance, most recently I worked with an artist, and he released, local artist, independent. He released an album. Okay, so what do you want? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want me to help you accomplish? And I go from there. And there's been some instances where I can develop a 3-month campaign for you. And there's been some instances where I can get you a DIY, a do-it-yourself plan, and you can just follow this and do it yourself. Because with public relations, depending on how large you are, what you can afford, you may not need a public relations professional to help you. Maybe you do just need some advertisements. Maybe you just need some marketing. So I start with their goals. What do you want?
So how do you determine that? This is very interesting.
Well, I determined, for instance, I had with this artist, he just wanted promotion for his um, his his project.
Yeah.
So I determined, okay, you want promotion. Anybody can promote because promotion is a facet of public relations. That's just one promotion is one function of public relations. So I'm saying, so what exactly do you want promotion? I can post your stuff on social media. You can post that. I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers. You know, you don't need 100,000 followers to be an influence. But I don't have 100,000 followers. You probably have just as many as me. So what do you want? He was like, so I'm trying to get spins. I'm trying to get, because he's this particular artist, he was good with the money side. He didn't need me to help him make any money. So he was selling, he had a formula that he concocted to sell his music. But what he lacked, okay, I'm like, so you don't need, you know, help selling, you saying you're making money. So what you need is publicity. Okay, you're making money by boosting on social media or whatever, but you need publicity. Not one time have I seen you in an interview. Not one time have I seen you on somebody's radio promoting your music or anything like that. I don't have any publications with you in them. So I determined, okay, promotion, we're gonna get you some publicity. Okay. And we can do some promoting. So that's what I did. I got him publicity. I had him in media outlets. I got, give me a single, clean up your music, give me a single. I'll get it on the radio for you. Had him spotlight in the radio. So I just basically, it's back to what you want, what you need help with. And it all comes down to what falls under public relations. That's what I'm saying. I've had instances where I can't help somebody. You don't need public relations. You may need to talk to someone about marketing or advertising. Maybe you need to adjust your sales, so I don't overpromise. Everybody's not my client. So if I can, based on your goals, if I can help you, I'll let you know my services and how they will help you.
Well, I'm thinking of all of the recording artists that are out there that are independent. Oh my gosh, you shouldn't ever have a void place on your calendar.
Right.
Because, now that record companies are revamping, just like everything else, and more artists are finding that they, or feeling more confident that they'd be able to handle their own affairs, they do need people like you.
Right. Because like with this artist, what are you going to do if you don't have, what are you going to put in your press kit? What are you going to put in your media kit? Who has featured you? So definitely.
So let me ask you this, now that we're on the subject. Do you recommend that women like yourself in radio have a press kit or a media kit? And then do you have one?
I would say yes. I would. But of course, you have to have things to include in that media kit. So no, I don't have a media kit, but I do have a website.
Okay.
So what I do use is my website. And of course, I think that your media kit should be clickable. So of course, add that media kit to your website. But as far as with me, I don't have a media kit just for radio.
Mm-hmm.
So
do you think that's something that's needed or recommended for women in radio or people in radio in general?
If you have the things to include in that media kit, yes, I do.
Like what? What things would you recommend for those who are listening and who are wondering, maybe I need one of those?
For your media kit, I would suggest, of course, a bio to highlight where you got your start. If you've had multiple radio jobs, if we're talking about radio only, if you've had multiple radio jobs, I would include that. Your background, of course, basically your bio. I would also include pictures that highlight not just you, but big events that you've been a part of, some of your accomplishments, your accolades. I would also include links to any type of publications, or not necessarily links, but make it accessible to any publications, any features that you've been a part of, any ventures that you have that have branched from radio that you currently have. Like a lot of people have nonprofit organizations, a lot of people have businesses. Um, and what else would I include in my media kit? Experience, your experience as far as who you work with, and things that you've been the curator of. That is, if you have curated anything. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why I would say if you have enough to include in a media kit, then I would definitely have one. And if not a media kit, some type of platform other than social media to drive people back to you. Like
Mm-hmm.
I use my website, and that's where my bio and everything like that, accolades and all of that. I can post that to social media, but in addition to social media, have something to steer your following and people back to you so they can know exactly who you are and what you do.
Well, I can't help myself. You don't know me very well, but I'm the kind of person, I'm always thinking of ideas, always. And I can't help but think that, oh my God, you could totally have like a part-time job servicing just radio people. Can I tell you how many bios I've seen, Olivia, that just kind of took me back like, oh my God, this is not a bio.
Mm.
Or, oh my God, this doesn't make me want to read it or
Oh,
know more about it.
gosh.
Or, oh my God, who cut and paste this?
Olivia Gunn, PR can make communications, and I can get you a very nice bio together if you need it.
Well, let me tell you something, honey. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I mean, if you don't, I don't know your life, but that would be a great part-time job. I'm just saying, because there's a need out there that I know for sure that I've seen. Just since, we started this organization, when we ask people for information, photos, you would be surprised.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. As far as a media kit, I would definitely think you would have to work your way up a little bit, to having, because if you're fresh off in radio, I wouldn't expect you to have that much as far as,
Mm-hmm.
as far as mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely think you should have something, some type of platform, something that you can send, something that's clickable, something that will draw traffic, something where I can click on or access to
Uh-huh.
find out all about you.
Well, like I'm just going to throw that little hint out. You are needed. Your services are absolutely needed. I've seen it. I've seen evidence of the need for Olivia Gunn. I'm just saying. It might be a great place to start with just professional folks here in the industry that just need your services.
Yeah,
That might
definitely
be
need,
something
like
to
you
think
said,
about.
in the industry and of course with artists too, because I know I've
Hmm.
seen a lot of artists who lack um, management. They're doing everything themselves and they're just all over the place. So
Right.
they need somebody who can at least manage their communications or something.
Well, I will just, on Black Women in Radio, we are making room for people to creatively express. So, whatever your niche is, if people want to hire you to, do whatever your expertise is, they can find you on Black Women in Radio. So, and it's the kind of service that I really want to see. I want to see us upgrade. I want to see us be even better than we ever imagined. And that's simply because we have the resources to help make that happen,
Right.
you know? So tell me, if you had your choice, would you travel in radio, or would you make Georgia your home in radio? Because I mean, a couple of cities there are pretty big that I just left Atlanta.
I'm not gonna lie. I can't say Columbus when it comes to media, advertising, broadcasting. It is a starter market.
Hmm.
It's a starter market, meaning it's a place where you get your start. And if you really, really want to progress, then you learn all you can, get your start, make your connections, and you move on. to get bigger, I would have to leave. Okay, to get bigger, I would have to leave Columbus, and I'm open to it. But I do know how competitive, even a small market in Columbus can be competitive. So I know how competitive bigger markets are, but I'm definitely open to it. So if I want to progress, if I want to get bigger, my philosophy is I would have to travel. So
Yep, you would have to travel. Go ahead and put that media kit together.
yes, I
I'm
would
not
have
I'm not saying that so that Davis Broadcasting, will lose you, but I'm just saying that so that,
it's not just Davis Broadcasting, it's the market.
yes, and it's the next step. And Davis has other stations in our larger cities like Atlanta as well. So there you have it. But, to go to the next step, for 2021 or 2022, what does that look like? And it would behoove anyone that's listening and watching to make sure that you have a great digital and written representation of yourself, because you never know who's going to ask for a headshot or who's going to ask for a bio or further information. So, and the writing of these bios, Olivia.
Now you're scaring me. I don't want you to read mine. Maybe mine is not as good as I think it is.
I'm a teacher. I'm a former teacher, and I'm just sorry. It's not that I nitpick and criticize. It's just that when I open something, I want to be impressed by the effort. If nothing else, the effort. And if something's misspelled, I'm not the kind of person to say, "Oh, put that to." I have seen people operate that way. I'll put that to the side. I'm not even going to read it. They misspelled receive. How dare them? No. Yes. It's not that deep. But I do expect to be pleased by the effort. Yes. And I think that a lot of us professionally have kind of forgotten that we do need a audio and a visual and a written representation of who we are as communicators, broadcasters.
Right. In this field, definitely in this field, would not make sense. It wouldn't make sense not to have it. So that's what I'm saying. You need something, like you said, that travels with you. If someone wants to know, well, how can I see your work? That's the thing. If you want to see your work, okay, well, here's a link to my site. Here's a link to my media kit. Here's a link to and links can travel. So that's why I always say a link. If nothing else, a link to your work. Yeah. Something, because I actually found that out back in the day when I would be applying for jobs in media, and they would always say, put a link to your work, upload your resume or links to your work. And I'm like, I don't have any links to my work. And that's what made me want to have a website built so that I would have links to my work so people could see what I've done.
And it's as simple as that. You're absolutely right. It is as simple as that. Doesn't have to cost a whole lot of money.
Right.
So this conversation is really key for not just newbies in the radio industry, but also reminders for those who are seasoned, that we have to step up our game. We do. Yeah. We have to step up our game. Now, tell me, what part of the industry, in radio industry, do you find challenging for you as a woman?
What parts of the radio industry? I would think the higher positions in radio, such as, not saying that there are not many women with director by their name in radio, or a manager or management by their name, but I don't often hear of that many women actually owning a radio station. Some of them have directors, some of them have managers by their name, programmer, this and that. But when it comes to the higher positions,
the C-suite people, yeah,
I don't know of any women. Not saying that there aren't. I don't know of any women who actually own radio stations. Like the one I own is owned by a man. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm just an example. And some of the other radio stations in bigger markets that I follow, they're owned by men. Um, Program directors a lot of times are men. So I mean, women radio personalities are everywhere at this point.
Yes.
It's not that uncommon. Male dominated or not, it's not that uncommon, but I don't think there are many of us in the higher level positions in radio management, basically.
And a known pathway as to how to get there. That's a very good question.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And that's still a pathway that I'm not familiar with that pathway.
I like that. I really want to dig in deeper as part of this organization to figure out a pathway. I think that's my job in life. Figure
Because
out a pathway.
I see it. I'm seeing it more now.
Yeah.
But again, I still think that it's more men.
You're not at all far behind. There's less than 5% Black owned radio stations in the country. And even less than that are female.
Right.
Yeah. And so, and even in television, there are not very many C-suite minority women in the industry. So, we've got good work to do.
Right.
Quoting John Lewis, we've got good work to do. And,
like I said, we need that pathway because like you just stated, even in TV, I'm familiar with a TV station. I'm just going to say it's local, where there is only one African American reporter there.
How about that? See?
Only one.
Yes. Now, let me ask you this. Would you be interested in owning an entity, a radio or television station?
I could see that, yes. I mean, that's somewhat goes into the bigger picture that I have as far as owning like a full service agency. I could see myself owning. I can't say it'd be anytime soon, but
Right.
if I were to know the steps, and know the ropes to doing that, definitely.
That's what we need to do. I think I'm going to work on that for 2021. I am going to work on speaking to more C-suite people who can give us an idea of, a road less traveled. How do we get there? If we're interested in C-suite positions or ownership, how do we get there? I think that's a great question.
By coming together, because it wouldn't be something that I would want to do alone. I would want to bring other people, other women of color, just like myself, so that we can but because even though we're all women of color, we're still diverse because we bring different things to the table. We bring different ideas. So I would want to bring others along with me, and we could do it together, bring our ideas together and just build something big. I wouldn't want to do it alone.
I totally agree with you there. That's why we're Black Women in Radio, a network, because none of us individually have been able to reach the height that we have had in our head or our hearts. We need people. And so you're absolutely right. I mean, the thought is to, Byron Allen, by the way, has, paved the way to how do you own cable stations and television stations, although he's got a string of lawsuits because there is no fair route to it. That monopoly game has been rigged. And of course, Kathy Hughes, of course, she has over 55, 57 radio stations. It's Black owned, mostly Black operated.
Right.
Kind of. Yeah, it's changed a lot over the years, but there you have it. So they're far few in between. Of course, Davis Broadcasting is another one that could give us tons of information as to, how does this thing work? Why aren't there more of us? How do we get a network so that people can get involved and we support each other in communication. So
that would be doable, and you may have to start off small because even with Davis Broadcasting, he didn't start out as big as what it is now, so
Absolutely.
definitely, I believe you may have to start off small, but it's definitely doable.
I,
Definitely.
I know that there are more people getting into online radio stations. There are a lot more people owning internet radio stations because they feel like the brick and mortar of traditional terrestrial radio isn't working for them. But the
Right.
one thing that we know for sure, it's not going anywhere.
Mhm.
Terrestrial radio will be, I mean, it may evolve in different, take different forms, but it's not going anywhere. It's going to always be there.
Right. It's definitely going to always be there. And I think, too, with internet radio, mainstream radio is not necessary. Not saying that it's hard, but the broadcast industry, period, is competitive because regardless of how small your market is, you have people coming from all over competing for limited spots. So I think a lot of times people who have a desire to be in radio, they just don't know how to quite get into it or they haven't been successful. They start internet radio because it's easier. It is easy to start internet radio.
Exactly. And an internet radio show. Therefore, there are tons of people in podcasting
Mhm.
now. So
There's
there,
more freedom with internet radio and podcasting.
exactly, exactly. Wow. Well, what would you say to a college student or a person who's interested in getting in the industry based on your experience? What would you say to them? What approach would you take trying to break into the industry?
I would definitely say do not expect it to happen overnight. Because I graduated college years and years ago. And I was not even, when I graduated from college, I wasn't, I looked younger than I may be. I may look younger than I am, but even when I graduated college, I wasn't a traditional student because I didn't go to college right after high school. I didn't start a 4-year program until, I mean, it was years after I graduated high school. And then on top of that, I didn't land any type of position in radio until years after that. So don't expect it to happen overnight. Just don't expect that because you have obtained this degree. Get the degree, but just don't expect that since you have this degree in your hand, people are going to be knocking your door down, blowing you up, offering you positions. So, and don't let that discourage you. So I would suggest that you network. If you're in a small market like with Davis Broadcasting, not saying that um, the higher ups there are easily accessible, but try to connect with them. If they're not hiring, see, can you shadow them? Can you shadow some of the radio personalities sometime? Radio stations are often active in the community. Volunteer with them. Hey, I know you're doing this giveaway. Can I just come and be a volunteer? Make your face known. Let them become acquainted with them so they will know you by name. Become a volunteer. I know y'all doing a giveaway. You're having this event. I'm not trying to get paid. I just want to volunteer. Volunteer. I would start with that. Network if you can, and establish your own platform. If you can't get into mainstream radio right off, try internet radio. Try Facebook Live. Try IGTV. Establish your own platform some kind of way. So when that time does come, you have something that you can show. Here's my on air presence right here. I started this IG series. I started this podcast right here. Have something. Even if it's you can't break into the industry right off. Establish your own platform because it's so easy to do now. Everybody has Instagram. Everybody has Facebook. Everybody has YouTube. Start your own broadcast. So when that time comes, you've already established yourself. You ran your own platform and you're semi ready to go. So don't get discouraged if it's not happening right off. Do what you can with what you have in front of you until your big break comes.
Yes. I spoken like a pro. I think that's great, great, great advice. Great advice. There are not a lot of people who are willing to be patient. Most people who break into broadcasting by way of social media feel like, well, Olivia has 200,000 followers. How come I don't have 200,000 followers? You know,
Right.
And oftentimes it's not about the follower, it's about the content.
Right. Because you can have 500 followers or you can have 500,000 followers. Anyone with a following can be an influence, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
anyone with a following, you have a platform. So it's up to you how you use it. Like while I was waiting, trying to break into the media industry, I created my own platform with a blog. So I just used to blog about entertainment. Um, Still have my blog actually. It's on my website, oliviagunn.com/blog. I kept that blog, but I just blogged. And I became known as, oh, she has a blog. Olivia, she's a blogger.
Mm-hmm.
That was my platform. I started out with a blog.
Love that. Love that. So, one more question. How do you um, do the whole work life family balance thing?
It's something I'm actually still working on myself. Oh my God, it's a struggle. Because procrastination is something that I've struggled with. Procrastination. But I have. It's about changing your attitude. It
Mm,
all starts with attitude. You have to establish a get it done attitude. So I just prioritize. I try to get work, even though radio, I don't even see it as work anymore because I enjoy it. But I try to everything for work. I try to get out of the way first. Just do it. You just have to establish a get it done attitude. And yeah, that's what I do. I have a get it done attitude. If it's for work, get it done, get it out of the way because I struggled for a long time to the point to where I wouldn't go out, I wouldn't enjoy myself because I got too much to do. I'm also working on a master's, so I have that to deal with too. So
very good.
it's like I have too much going on. Oh my God, it was a point where I didn't go out for a while, but it's like no, I need to get out, especially in radio
Balance it.
now. Yeah, so if it's work, just get it done.
Now, what are you studying? What will your master's be in?
Public relations.
Of course.
Yes, that will because my bachelor's is in communications with the mass media specialist. So if I go ahead and get this public relations out the way, that will complete it. Well, my goal is to be well rounded.
I
So
love that. I
yes,
love that. Well, good for you. Good for you. Would you be interested in teaching?
I've considered it. If I were to teach, it would have to definitely be on a college level, like type continuing education type thing, because sometimes people think I'm a child. So if I were to try to teach younger people, I don't think they would take me serious.
Seen it, they would.
I don't think they would
They
think their
would.
age.
It's all in your presentation. It's all in, how you people they can sense confidence. And so it depends on how you enter the room and how you handle yourself. They are the nonverbal cues that
Yeah,
they're absolutely zoning in on. You totally could. I've seen it happen. You'll be absolutely fine.
I've definitely thought about it, like on a college level, because colleges offer so many courses these days.
Yes.
Not even like degree programs, but just continuing education courses.
Mhm.
These days, social media, you can get a certificate in social media. So I would definitely consider it and have considered it. So
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? Now that we're talking about leveling up, life has changed so much so that the educational system is changing. So who knows? There may be tons of positions online,
yeah,
that weren't readily available before. And not only that, um, children in high school need to be exposed to communications and public relations and marketing, the business of media and marketing. So, there's look at me trying to let me stop career counseling.
ideas.
I can't help it. I just my mind is like, you would be great at this. I could see you doing that. Olivia, I so appreciate everything everything that you have offered this podcast. It's been a delight to meet you.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I had fun.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I want to make sure you have even more fun because I'm going to do word association. It's a little game that I do with all of the broadcasters. So I can't wait to hear your answers and put you on the spot. Are you ready?
No, but you can go ahead.
Okay, here goes.
Okay.
Sports car or luxury car?
Oh my God. Sports car?
R&B or hip hop?
Hip hop.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Radio or TV?
Radio.
Heels or flip-flops?
Heels.
The gym or TV?
TV.
Morning or afternoons?
Afternoon.
Plane or train?
Plane.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Wine or shots?
Wine.
Ah, I love it. That game is so funny. I love it. Thank you so very much. I hope to see you on the Black Women in Radio platform even more, especially now that I know what you have to offer, my darling. We need.
We're going to join.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, one of the perks, since you mentioned it, one of the perks of joining is that very network that we were just talking about. And that is plugging you into a pool of people who need your services, and letting people know about you while we're navigating this wonderful world of radio, of course, but, also strengthening the other things that we're interested in, or, you've got TV, you've got radio, you've got public relations, and people who are just a little bit interested in any of those things. You've tons of wisdom to offer them. So, being a member is a big deal. We're creating a network, a formidable network.
Yes, I looked at you all's website. I'm like, wow. And what stood out to me was the networking and the community that's being built. I was like, yes, definitely something that I need to be a part of. So you can think some more of me, definitely.
Well, wonderful. And I am looking forward to meeting you in person. We are going to do a conference very soon where we're one-on-one and we're enjoying each other's company after this doggone pandemic gets out of here. It's messing up my social life, I tell you.
Messing up everybody's social life. It really is.
Yes. Well, thank you so very much. I look forward to seeing you in person very soon.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you.
Careful as you exit your VIP seats. They will be waiting for you next Wednesday when we talk to Shay Moore. Make sure you subscribe to Black Women in Radio podcast on all social media and check out our website at www.blackwomeninradio.com.